Welcome to the 2025 Halloween special of Spooky Coop, episode 42. Strap in for some wonderful Halloween lore and spooky stories. Hi everyone, I'm Paul.
And I'm Michelle.
And you're in
The Spooky Coop.
Welcome to the Spooky Coop. Hope you're not chicken. Hello, Michelle.
Hey, Paul, guess who's back?
We're back.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, you're back, but I'm only here physically.
Ha-ha.
Aha. So, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing great. It's good to be back.
Yep, and in the background you can hear the coyotes, the wolves, and the little puppies.
And the foxes.
And the foxes.
The bigger puppies.
Yeah, and these are all being followed by the werewolf.
Oh.
Because this is our Halloween special.
Good to be back on Halloween. We have some really good ghost stories we've collected from people over the time we haven't been back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have some ghost stories of our own.
That's true.
Now, you have asked me to tell an organic story right off the top, just without even... And I'm going to mess with your mind tonight because I remember the last time I told an organic story, and it was on radio. And to this date, there are 50,000 people across the state of Florida that think you're married to an absolute lunatic.
Well, I am, but that's okay.
I vowed after that I would never talk about alien trisexuality and how they try everything ever again.
Yay!
Wait, I just did it. Oh no!
Oh no!
and some mailed me personally to say, what's a crazy man like you married to such a nice woman for? How did she ever get involved with you? And my ego just went into this tiny little hole and it never came out again.
Well, that's okay.
Well, at least until 2017. Anyway, tonight, I have first my organic story. It's a Halloween story that's so good. It's from my childhood. It terrified the absolute crap out of me. I was 8 years old. We were living in this big house that the bank had provided my father, who worked for the bank. And it was on the evening of this huge party that they were having.
Yep.
And there must have been, 60 people there. They had a huge living room. And tons of food, the whole 9 yards, and I had to go to bed early because of it. So I was sitting up there, lying on my bed up on the second floor, hearing all of this in the background.
All these people talking, right?
Having fun, and getting, because it was a northerly location, they were getting thoroughly inebriated. And as I'm lying there, I'm looking at the wall, thinking, how am I going to get to sleep? And as I look at the wall, there's something, this shadow that's approaching, and it's just above my neck. And I'm looking, and it looks like a hand, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's coming from my throat. Ooh. And I'm sitting there, and I became absolutely frozen, terrified.
Wow.
Absolutely frozen, terrified. And it seemed like forever. It was like, that Monty Python movie where was it Sir Lancelot is charging the castle? It was just like that. It took forever for this hand to get close to my throat until finally I somehow mustered up the courage, if you want to call it that, or some type of fearful reaction. I turned around, looked, and there was absolutely nothing there.
Nothing making the shadow.
Nothing making the shadow. I looked around the bedroom because the door was partially open. There was nothing there. It was that the hand spin around and nothing. Right? And so I got out of bed. I ran down the stairs. I wasn't supposed to do that. I ran down and I was like, Mom! She ran over and said, what? We've got this party going on. What's going on? And I said, there was a shadow of a hand coming at my throat in the bedroom. The whole room went silent. 60 people. 30 women went, oh. 30 men went, ha ha, Billy, you got a son with such an imagination. And that's when my ego also shrunk again into this tiny little hole, and I turned around and I went back up to my bedroom and stayed there forever.
Did you see it again?
No, thank God, but I did see other things in that house. It was terribly haunted. I hated some parts of that house.
Oh, is that the house where Blanche kept talking?
No, that was a different house. No, this one, lights would turn on and off by themselves. There was a part of the basement where I would look at it and it'd feel like there was a demon standing there, and I would not want to go over to this part of the basement. And it was every time, not just sometimes, that I went down.
Wow.
Imagination of an 8-year-old? Maybe, maybe not. But I'll tell you, it scared the crap out of me.
Wow, I believe it.
Now, my second story is one you have to follow along with. This is not organic. This is a Halloween terror story.
Okay, someone sent this, or?
No, this is completely made up. And it's for Halloween.
Okay.
It is absolute fiction.
Okay, let's go for it.
Or at least we think so.
Uh-huh.
It's called The Last Porch Light. A spooky Halloween story. Every house on Willow Lane was decorated for Halloween, except one, number 17. Dark, silent, curtains always drawn. Kids told stories about Mrs. Calder.
Uh-huh.
That she died alone years ago and no one ever found her body. Grown-ups laughed it off, but nobody ever knocked on that door. Except Charlie. He was 12, dressed as a skeleton, and determined to beat his friends for most candy collected. At the end of the night, with only one street left, Charlie finally stood before number 17. The house looked abandoned, but
he'll get an apple with a razor blade in it.
And a porch light flickered on.
Uh-huh.
Just once. A little blink. His friends yelled for him to forget it, but Charlie stepped onto the creaking porch. He knocked. His friends yelled for him to forget it. But Charlie stepped onto the creaking porch. He knocked. Tap, tap, tap. No answer. The porch light flickered again, brighter this time, and Charlie noticed the door was a crack open. He pushed it with his fingertips. It swung inward with a soft groan. Inside was nothing but dust and old furniture covered in sheets. The air smelled like wet soil and forgotten things. "Hello?" Charlie called. Somewhere deep in the house, a woman's voice echoed, "Not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet." He froze. Charlie turned to leave, but the door slammed shut behind him. The porch light
I hate it when that happens.
Charlie turned to leave, but the slammed door was still closed. That's dumb. Let me start that one again. Somewhere deeper in the house, a woman's voice echoed, "Not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet." He froze. Charlie turned to leave, but the door slammed shut behind him. The porch light snapped off. The voice came again, closer now. Almost time. Charlie backed into a hallway lined with framed photos. He lifted his flashlight. The glass in every frame was cracked, each picture blurred except for one detail. The porch light glowing behind a child. A different child in every photo. Each child looked terrified. Each child was reaching toward the camera. Each photo was dated Halloween night, 1953. 1965, the next one 1978, and so on. A new frame hung empty. Tonight's date etched beneath it. Charlie dropped his bag of candy as footsteps dragged across the floorboards. He ran deeper into the house.
He lost all his Kit Kats.
Everywhere. Candy everywhere. Butterfingers, Kit Kats, Three Musketeers.
Oh, I like the Kit Kats best. You know, the Smarties, he can let the ghosts have those. dum-dum pops. Anyway, go ahead.
He ran deeper into the house, trying windows. Everyone was nailed shut. The dragging footsteps sped up. He reached the basement door. It opened for him. The voice, right over his shoulder. "It's your turn to keep the light on." He fell down the wooden stairs into darkness. The basement lit up. Rows of dusty TVs flickered awake. On each screen, one of the terrified children from the photos stared out, frozen, trapped. Charlie screamed. All the screens blinked off at once. And then the porch light turned on again.
How does he know, though?
The next morning, kids noticed something new on the porch at number 17. A fresh picture frame, the glass still uncracked. Inside, a photo of Charlie, eyes wide, reaching forward. And that night, and every Halloween since, the porch light flickers only for the child it wants next. So, if you ever see that light turn on, don't walk toward it. Run.
The other way?
Far away.
Ooh, I have a story, but it's actually real.
Well, good. See, this is it builds well this way.
Yeah,
you know?
This one's a real story.
Okay.
At least I was told it's a real story.
Well, let's go for it.
Now, I heard this story from somebody a long time ago when I was in college. Now, this happened in mid-Massachusetts, okay, in an area in Massachusetts. I don't want to tell you the exact place.
Where all ghost stories of Halloween hail from.
Now, this happened, the story I'm going to tell you happened on a Halloween night. Now, I don't want to tell you exactly where it is because this place is very haunted and you won't find it on a haunted Massachusetts area map. So I'm not going to tell you where it is. I don't want anyone to get hurt.
Please, can you
No,
give us a
I
hint?
don't want anyone to get hurt. And this place
No
is
hints.
supposedly dangerous,
Well,
okay?
that sucks. Okay.
But I am going to tell you the real name. The place is a cemetery. It's an old cemetery called Spider's Gate.
Spider's Gate.
The reason why it's not its real name, the reason why they call it Spider's Gate is because it had this fancy writing on a wrought iron arch over the door.
I know that one. It's on Arachnoid Drive. Okay.
And they over the
Shame
years,
on me.
over the years, people actually cut or knocked off pieces of it when they saw that the center of it with the face, it had a face over it and some words. When they knocked off pieces of it, they left what looked like a face with legs, so it looked like a spider. Very scary. And then way back, I don't know if it's still there, somebody actually put a skull of some kind of wild animal or even a dog. I don't know what it was.
It sounds like our chicken coop
up there.
with the big steer head with the horns on it. So yeah, okay, go
But
ahead.
this wasn't that big. Anyway, I got this from a girl I knew named Kathy. Now, the legend was that in the early 70s, now this is true. People would go there because it was like down a dirt road. Nobody would bother them. And they'd go and drop acid down there and do drugs and everything in the late 60s,
Didn't
early
that burn?
70s.
Oh, you mean the drug. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So they would do that. And supposedly some guy died there. He overdosed. And they say that his ghost would walk through the place. And if you saw his ghost, most people would run. But some people would be like frozen and they'd just stand there. And they say if his ghost came at you and walked through you like a ghost may do, that you would feel the effects of the acid. You would have this really bad trip. And then you would wake up in the morning somewhere in the cemetery after a horrible trip. Was it real? I don't know. Never happened to me. I went there several times. I never saw anything. But then again, I didn't go in the middle of the night. I wasn't in a position with people who would go with me in the middle of the night and I was younger. They were all afraid. But this person, Kathy, I knew, she went in the middle of the night when she was in college with a few friends. Too bad they didn't ask me to go. So she went out there, and she and a friend of hers saw this guy. He was dressed like in the 60s. He had the bell-bottom pants. He had the vest that had the...
tie-dye shirt?
I don't know. She didn't mention that, but she said he had a vest on that was probably suede, and it had things like stripes of suede, like, not stripes, but strings of suede on it with beads at the end. Mm-hmm. And he had longer hair. He looked pretty disheveled. And he came walking towards them, and he looked like he was saying something like, "Wait, wait." And they were like absolutely stunned, couldn't move. And he came walking towards them, and they just could not move. And he walked right through them and disappeared. They felt him walk through them, and they said it was like this cold. They said it got colder and colder.
Wow.
And colder, and they felt like they were like in the Arctic. And he walked through them, and when he walked through them, they said it was the most bizarre, cold, shaking feeling that they ever felt. And then it was gone.
There's probably a lot of viewers out there that have experienced a ghost passing through them and not even known it and felt something like that.
Yeah, all of a sudden they felt intense panic and chill and shook to their core. But at that point, they both started seeing strange things. Now, neither one of them had ever used acid. It wasn't as easy to get as it is now. From what I hear, it's very easy to get right now, but back then...
Oh, they were just in the wrong place. I remember back then.
But anyway...
I didn't take it, but I knew a lot of people who did.
Yeah. Anyway, they said that it was very bizarre. They said all of a sudden the stars in the sky were dripping and spinning, and the stones in the cemetery were doing weird things. They had all these strange effects and everything, but it was scary. It looked like things were chasing them. It looked like their hands were being cut off, and things were very scary.
The fear would have been exponential compared to what they were used to.
Yeah. And one of them, when she started running, she tripped over something and face planted, and she thought that she got stuck in the ground and was being sucked into a grave, and that dead bodies and skeletons were trying to eat her, and they had a horrible night.
That is one awful trip.
Yeah, they had horrible nights. Terrible.
How many years of therapy did Kathy need after this night?
Terrible, horrible experience. I guess a really seriously bad trip. And next thing you know, it was morning. I guess they said it was the longest night day of their lives. And then
I think so.
Yeah. And then the sun was up. And they kind of got themselves together. They were both very, very sick the next morning. And they got themselves together and went home and just were absolutely destroyed. And they never even drove by the road to Spider's Gate after that.
Good choice. Yeah.
But
that's an excellent
they
choice
swore it was real. They both wrote it down in their
Yeah.
diaries, every bit of it. I wish I could remember more of what they said. I know that a lot of it had to do with this thing. And they said the guy's name was Rick. I don't know.
Rick.
Yeah, Rick. So, if anyone's been out there, let us know what kind of trip
They don't
you
know
went
where
on.
it is. You didn't tell them.
Yeah, but if they might know
But they
the
would
name
know the
of
legend.
it.
They would know the legend if they lived out in that area. Yes.
Yeah, and they would know the name of
Yeah.
it. And I do have another one. I don't know if you
Another
want
story?
Yeah, I don't know if you have a story you'd like to tell before I tell mine. Mine's
No,
a little
you
bit
go
longer.
right ahead.
All right. Now this is.
I'm not one who tries everything. And if I do it once and I learn my lesson. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a story that I was told about a man who lived in China. And this man who lived in China, I was told this by a fellow he worked with. Okay? And this man who actually grew up in China, and he grew up in a very traditional family. And at the time in China, they had the one-child policy. I don't know if people know about that, but if you don't, you can look it up. And families wanted boys so bad that if they had a girl coming, they'd do an ultrasound or whatever, find out amniocentesis, I don't know what. They'd find out they had a girl, that they would abort the pregnancy until they had boys.
Very sad period.
Yeah, very few people would want their girl. Mm-hmm. And so it turned out that even today there is a huge extra amount of boys to girls, men to girls, to women in China. Mm-hmm. So there is a population of young men, or older men, I guess now, who can't find wives. But in order to have them have wives, some of the more traditional families have this strange tradition. I suppose it's not strange for them. It would be strange to you and me and maybe some of our listeners, where their parents have them marry women who've passed away. And it's sort of a traditional...
They're not sitting there with the corpse, are they?
No.
Thank God.
They,
okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I think they have a ceremony where the families are there, and
this is my wife, dead Doreen.
But they have some kind of ceremony, and maybe have a representative for the for the girl who's passed away.
Lifelessly, yeah. Okay.
And they do some kind of ceremonial marriage, so the man is not unmarried. I don't know if that's dishonorable. I have no idea behind it. I didn't research it. Maybe I should have. But this man had been married. This man had been married to a girl who was passed away, so he wouldn't be considered a bachelor.
Right.
Yeah. And that way he would be connected to the other family, whatever. Okay? And then eventually, when he was a little bit older, he didn't really take into these ancient ways. He got a degree in some kind of engineering, and he came to the United States to work. And when he was in the United States, he got a really good job at a really good company, and he Americanized himself. He really, got more Americanized, became a citizen, I believe. But anyway, he married here in America. He married a living girl because, of course, his marriage in China was not legal.
Right.
So he could marry an American girl, and he did. And from what I was told by this employee that worked with him, strange things started happening in his home here in America. His wife here in America started having odd dreams at first, and then she started having strange and he started strange dreams. He started having what doctors here would call sleep paralysis, where he couldn't move. He'd wake up and he couldn't move, and he would have a banshee, is what he called the equivalent of a banshee or a succubus or whatever, sitting on his chest. I need a drink of water when you said that. I forget what he called it in Chinese, but he said that they would be sitting on his chest. He'd wake up and they were sitting on his chest, and they were staring at him with death eyes.
Ew.
And they looked dead.
Dead's that vacant, awful stare that they can, Yeah,
and they would not look fresh.
No.
They did not visit... Sinfora or whatever that is. They didn't go to Macy's and get made up. Anyway, he ended up...
a little bit of facial cream can go a long way.
This didn't...
Moisturizer.
No way. Anyway, so he just kept putting it off. And his wife started having the same thing happen, and she went to a therapist, and the therapist told her it was just anxiety. She became pregnant, and she started finding herself feeling like she's been pushed. And she kept tripping, and she kept dreaming that she was losing her baby. She kept going to the therapist. Therapist told her it was just fear, things like that.
Right.
The man who was his co-worker said the same thing, said to him, hey, this is nothing. It's no big deal. later on, his wife was killed in a car accident, and he was completely destroyed. He started seeing this Chinese corpse in a full Chinese ceremonial wedding dress and following him. He also started feeling like he was very tired and sick all the time. He went to the doctors. Now, I guess he was a rather thin man, but when he thought that, before he had all this happen, he was like 145 pounds or something.
Right.
And when he went to the doctors, he was still in the same size clothes and stuff. And but the scale said he weighed like 200 pounds or something, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. He went for an MRI, he went for all kinds of blood work and everything. He was completely healthy, but he felt so very sick.
Density.
Yeah, you are my density.
He found his density. Destiny. Density.
Yeah, he was really, really sick.
Right.
And eventually, he got into an accident too. I think he fell down the stairs or something in work. And this fellow said that he was in the hospital, and his parents came to visit.
Right.
And when his parents were visiting, and I'm sure I'm missing something here, but when his parents came to visit, they were standing next to his bed, and his parents saw the apparition next to his bed, and she said something in Chinese to the effect of, "I'm here to take my husband." And his mother said, "I told you, I told you you were married. I told you you shouldn't have cheated on your wife." Something to that effect. And then the apparition put her hand on his chest, like grabbing his heart. And he had a heart attack and died right then and there.
Ooh.
And I think the only reason why that happened, the man knew, is because he and his wife were visiting at the same time. He didn't see the apparition. He didn't see any of it. The father knew how to speak rudimentary English. He didn't have a strong grasp of the English language, but he had enough to tell this fellow he worked with, his best friend he worked with, what happened. But that's a nutshell of that story. And he swore that was true.
Okay, I have a final story.
Okay, and then I have a quick final story.
And then you have a quick final story?
Yeah, because it's Halloween. We got to tell another. I got to tell a more ghost Halloween. I have one about go ahead. I'll tell you after.
Okay. This is actually a camping story.
All right.
A camping story in October.
Okay.
And during the autumn season, it's dark out. It's a new moon. And there's two guys.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there. And some of you who have been out in the woods camping, I'm sure you've experienced this. All of a sudden, and this was in a remote area where there was not many people around. All of a sudden, on the ground, they hear ba-boom. Really big, heavy steps, about 50 feet away, 60 feet away. And they both turn, and there's nothing. And so they just turn around and they continue to talk and sit by the fire. And then a short while later, they hear ba-boom again. And they look at each other. This time they get out the flashlights. They're looking with the flashlights. They're looking at the flashlights. And off in the distance, they see, just above the ground, two glowing eyes. They're thinking, must be a tiny animal or something. And as they're looking, the eyes raise up above the ground, higher and higher and higher, until they see that it's standing, or whatever, hovering these eyes over 7 feet above the ground. And then they hear ba-boom, and the eyes dart off to the right. They just fly off into the distance. terror fills them. They sit back down and they think, maybe we should leave. Maybe we should pack up. Maybe we should go. But they somehow get themselves together. And then, a little while later, as they're sitting there, sort of keeping one eye on the forest, flashlights ready, they hear, ba-boom, again. They look out, they bring up their flashlights, and they're looking. What is it? What are they? Where is it? And finally one of them catches it, and it's these eyes. And the other one, he somehow garners up the courage, and he runs forward with his flashlight. And what's in front of him? A moose. And this was the beginning of the story and the mythology behind the hovering moose of northern Canada. And as he came forward with the light and saw it was a moose, he stopped. And what do they hear next? Kaboom! Poof! It disappears off into the forest.
Well, I got a good trick-or-treat story we can end with.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I heard this, my cousin said this happened to her, and she's a lot younger than me, so this happened to her
Right.
not that long ago. All right. She was out in a neighborhood in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Right.
And Lowell is, it's a place that has good parts and not so good parts. And
coincidentally, the only city that is a national park in the United States of America.
That's true. So half the city's closed down right now, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway.
There's no rangers nearby.
Anyway, so.
Yogi Bear would have a field. I'm shutting
I'm
up.
trying to tell a story.
I'll edit it out. Go ahead.
No, you don't have to.
Don't cut it. Go.
Anyway, so she's out with her friends, maybe a little too old to trick or treat, honestly. And they're walking around, and next thing you know, a little kid dressed up kind of like a Frankenstein comes walking with them and, says, "I'm all alone. Do you mind if I stay with you so I'm safe?" And they're like, okay. They're not in the best part of town, not in the worst, but not in the best. So she says, sure, you can come with us. So they go trick-or-treating, and they decide they need a lot more candy. So they keep walking, and they're doing tons and tons of trick-or-treats. That's my dog snoring. I don't know if you guys can hear him.
I'm trying to stop him.
Don't wake him up. Don't wake him up. Let him snore. Anyway, so they just keep walking and walking. They walk into an area they're not really familiar with. And this kid just sticks with them. He's probably, first grader, second grader, maybe 6 years old, maybe 7 at most, and they're really amazed. He's just walking with them, and they're thinking, he must be really far from home, right? Mm-hmm. But, they took pillowcases out to catch their candy, and so their pillowcases are getting pretty full.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
I remember those days.
Yeah, those days that made us all diabetic now.
Help me drag my candy home.
So finally, they're thinking they're going to have to walk this kid home. Mm-hmm. But they come up to this house, and the little kid says, "Hi, this is my," he said, "Hey, this is my house. I have to go now." And he waves goodbye, and he heads into the door of the house with his candy. The door closes, and they're like, well, at least we don't have to walk them home. They finish their trick-or-treating, and they leave, right? But the kid just dropped his bag. As he went in, he just dropped his bag.
Right.
So my cousin and her friend think to themselves the next day, maybe we should just go for a walk and just make sure he got his candy. Mm-hmm. Because it was just dropped there. Let's see if someone else took it or if he went out and got it. Because it was, So they went back, they walked back, they needed the walk, they're thinking, hey, So when they walked back, the bag of candy was kind of there, it got, scavenged or whatever.
Right.
But the house was an old, abandoned, junky, half burned down a long time ago house.
Mm-hmm.
But
And there are a few of these in Lowell.
Yeah, but the house looked just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid went into it, looked just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So they saw a neighbor raking leaves next door. And they said, "How long has that house been like that?" And he said, "Oh, years. Years ago, there was a big fire and the whole family died."
Oh, that's awful.
And they said, "Was there a little boy that lived there?" And he said, "Yeah, he was like, I don't know." He says he was like 6 or 7 and he died in the fire.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So they had been trick-or-treating all night.
With a dead
With a ghost. With the
of
ghost of a little boy.
Ooh.
And the little boy actually manifested enough, or what do you call it? He came into being enough that
Physically manifested, I think is a good word, yeah.
He carried a sack of
Oh,
candy.
that's spooky Halloween.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and they knew he carried the candy because it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said this to my cousin, I said, "You're crapping me. You're really pulling my leg." And she laughed and she said, "No, I swear to God, I'm not." And I said, "So did you take any of his candy?" She said, "Hell no." she said, "That was boogeyman candy. We weren't going to take any of that."
Oh, boy.
And so that's my last Halloween story for today.
And that's our Halloween special for 2025.
That's right. I can't believe it's 2025 already.
I know. And it has passed so quickly.
Yep.
We have...
Oh, by the way, we wanted to tell you that today's episode is sponsored by Pomsky Dreams. If you go visit their website, pomskydreams.com, I believe they have 1 or 2 beautiful Pomskys right now looking for homes, and they told us they have a couple of litters that will be born next month and will be looking for homes in the new year. So
yes, they're a fabulous breeder who has been around for years. Quality, beautiful dogs.
Yep.
And
wonderfully
we're happy,
socialized, microchipped, USDA certified.
Okay, so that being said, we look forward to seeing all of you listening to us, because we can see you behind the microphones.
Yeah.
We know where you live. All 35 of you.
And by the way, we are going to be trying to get ourselves back on the air more often, and eventually every single week. We've just had some we had some renovations done, and it's kind of put us off.
If you have renovations done, be prepared to live with your contractor. He will demand to be adopted, fed.
And he will tell you, "I'll get everything done in a week," and he'll be living with you for 6 months.
And I'm sure there is probably half of our audience listening now has had an experience something like this.
Yeah.
So now, here in Studio B of the Spooky Coop Studios...
Yeah, because Studio A has a contractor living.
We look forward to having you listen to us next time. So until then, until we see you again...
In the